Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. My name is James. I work at sort of the intersection between tech comms and development. Sometimes we call this DevOps. But one of the things that I've learned working in sort of that in-between space, where I spend a lot of my time with developers, is that developers have all of the fun tools, all of the fun games, and why shouldn't we have that too? So there's something fun that I wanted to sort of steal from developers, and it's something that happens quite often at development conferences, particularly developer conferences focused on security. Often they'll have an unconference-like session called a lockpicking village. So lockpicking is something that historically a lot of the people who first got started working with computers, a lot of the hackers at MIT were very into lockpicking, and it's sort of been a tradition that has been carried down in developer communities ever since. So I want to introduce a little bit of that. So you can see here on my screen, what we have is a simplified diagram of your like normal, typical Tumblr style lock. And there are basically four main components here. So you have the lock body that you can see here in green. Then inside the lock body in yellow is the actual barrel of the locking element. This is the bit that turns when you turn the key. And then connecting the lock body to the barrel inside that body, we have the pins of the key. And so the structure of this is very simple. You have a spring at the top, which is what ensures that the lock closes and it locks together. And then you have the pin. And the pin is split into two parts so that when you push a key into the lock, you can see that the gap between the inner body of the lock and the outside body of the lock lines up with the division between the lower and the top part of the pin. And so that's because the design of every key, the unique design of a key that makes a key fit a lock or not, is designed so that it pushes up the pins to the correct height so that when you push the key into the lock, it aligns with the spacing between the outside and the inside element. And because it's aligned in that way, that's why you can turn the key and it spins freely. If the key was the wrong key, it wouldn't line up correctly. And so when you went to turn the key, you would instead hit part of the pin, the lock wouldn't turn. So that's how a key works when you're turning a lock. And then we can look at how do we pick a lock. So to pick a lock, you need to replicate the function of a key without actually having the key. So you need to do two things there. You need to have one tool which you use for turning the lock, and another tool that you use for pushing up those pins into the correct position so that they split at the line that divides the body of the lock from the outer and the inner element. So you have this long tool called the pick, and that's what we slide and use to adjust the pins and emulate having a key. You move through step by step, just sliding things into place until they meet that dividing line. Then once they've met that dividing line, your other tool, called a tension bar, is used to rotate the lock. And there you go, open sesame. And the only other thing I wanted to do is, if I can get my camera working here, I want to show you some tools. So what we have here is a see-through lock. So if you want to get started with this sort of lock-picking skill, you can pick these up really cheaply from Amazon or from any sort of specialist lock-picking website. It's a great way to get started. So you'd pick up a transparent lock like this, and you'd pick up a kit with your tension bar and your lockpick. And it's really easy to get started with a little diagram and a little transparent lock like that.